and good to have you with us in this edition of the Urban Debate. We have a series of conversations lined up here tonight. But I want to start off with one issue which actually began with the farmers of this country and the protests that the farmers were holding, and has now reduced to a conversation which is happening about an environmentalist who allegedly created a toolkit to generate support for these farmers' protests and has now been arrested for sedition, working against her country. Now, while the court, viewers, has allowed activist Disha Ravi access to her FIR and remand copy, and it intrigues me how they even needed to go to the court and seek the FIR copy, and she's now been arrested for a few days. But the debate that continues is actually about the arrest itself, the charges against her, and whether there is merit to that. And many are also linking it to her age and saying how a young dissenter has now been jailed by the government. And I'm not just talking about the political reactions that have emerged, but as Disha got arrested a few days ago, the outburst that we saw had a lot to also do about the fact that here was a young activist, a 22-year-old who had been sent to jail for sharing a toolkit and had been charged with sedition, a very, very serious charge. And if the message that was being sent to everybody was don't let your children protest, that youngsters shouldn't speak up, that dissent is not okay. Since this outburst, we've now seen reaction from the other side, including BJP leaders and ministers who've now made references about the age to say age isn't a factor. Now, some like Giriraj may want to cite Ajmal Kasab and his age when he committed the terror attack. Others, including PC Mohan, also made similar references. Then there was Union Minister Prakash Javadekar, who gave his own reference and said, I was engaged in nation-building work at the age of 21. On the other side, you had people like Arvind Kejriwal, who said arrest of 21-year-old is an attack on the democracy. Supporting our farmers isn't a crime. Then there was Kanimori, who said arresting a young woman for retweeting a tweet supporting farmers is undemocratic. So tonight, viewers, I take the conversation forward from yesterday. Yesterday, we spoke about the merits, the pitfalls of a law like sedition, and how it often gets misused in our country. If you look at the statistics, the story is there for everybody to know. Tonight, we talk about whether or not your age, and young age specifically, is a valid argument to make. From both sides, we have representatives on this debate. So let's say good evening to Natasha Badwar, author and filmmaker who joins us this evening, Neeraj Kundan, National President of NSUI, Rahul Chaudhary, National Secretary for ABVP, Dr. Geeta Bhatt, Professor at the Delhi University, and Gunjan Singh, Advocate with the Supreme Court. Thank you for all of you for joining me right now. Let me actually start off with the youngsters. And Rahul, let's start off with you. Since you represent ABVP, what is your thought process? Should youngsters be getting into activism, protests, politics of any kind?
Certainly, yes, ma'am. In a democracy, the kind of democracy that has developed in India, it is largely based on the student movements which were carried out in the early age of Indian politics. Right? So ABVP itself is a movement which was started way back in 1949 with the idea of channelizing the energy of youth and students in nation building. As far as the engagement of youth in aspects of democracy or the protest is concerned, we are very much of the opinion that yes, students are, we in ABVP, we believe students are citizens of today. They have every right to concern their voice on any issue that come up in daily life. So, and the part is, we don't want students and the youth to be radicalized in name of protest. You cannot, spread misinformation in name of bill just to fuel your political protest. There has to have a very logical idea surrounding the movement. And as far as the history of AVP concerned, we have led a very finest of student movement against various issues, and it dates back to the early days of AVP. We have been participant of JP Andolan, which was fought by the student community against the anarchy. We have been part of the Chalo Kashmir Andolan. We have led the chicken neck movement. We have led the voices against this infiltrators in Bengal and the surrounding region. So we have AVP itself has produced many movements which have been ideal for other student organization, and there has been no case of violence reported any of the large movement mobilization that has been done by AVP till date. In 2017, AVP called a huge protest rally against the killings of our Karyakartas in Kerala, and more than 70,000 activists across the country participated in that rally, and there was not even a single case of violence. So the AVP idea is to channelize the youth energy in positive way, to spiritualize this youth energy for the betterment of the country. And
so what do you have to say, Rahul, when this argument is made from one side that, the government of a country has put a 22-year-old activist in jail because they can't handle dissent?
Ma'am, as far as being a law student, in my understanding of criminal law says, it's not the age which decides the culpability of the person, rather the act that one is doing and the intention behind doing the act. So if you look at the Indian Penal Code, there are general exceptions listed out in section 82 of IPC and 83. It defines only protection is allowed up to age of 7, and then based on the understanding of the child, its culpability decided, and that's how this juvenile justice jurisprudence has developed over the time, because with the people, the children of lower age started involving in various crimes out of various phenomena. So even for the heinous offences, a child below or a juvenile, or we call it minor below 18 age, can be tried for he can be given a stricter punishment, as in the case in this present case before us. The girl, she is 22-year-old or 21, whatever the age is, and she is a environmental activist who is globally known for her work. That's what, and a person who is so woke cannot, and the act and the sharing of toolkit, the preparation of toolkit, whatever she has been involved in, she did it willingly. And as per the WhatsApp chats that have leaked through, that have come out in media, that shows that she knew that if her name was there on the toolkit, if it's get published, she will be tried for whatever offense. So she has the knowledge and the intention, and she collaborated, or whatever she did, she played a role in the larger conspiracy.
Okay,
and that's what
so
fixed
you're
the
saying that,
liability law, not the age.
She obviously is an experienced activist. She has the knowledge and the understanding. So then she should have known what she's getting into. Natasha Badwar, I mean, to me, for somebody to say, if you share this toolkit, I may get into trouble, may not necessarily be an admission of the crime. It could also be an admission of what you see as the environment around you, and for, how you may get into trouble for something which may not be a crime. But that aside, is the outrage more about why she was arrested, or that she's so young and got arrested?
It is absolutely about why has she been arrested in a manner where so many of the legal procedures have been violated, and what is the crime that she's being charged with. So this crime of editing a Google Doc which contained a toolkit, and let's put it out in this program, what is a toolkit? A toolkit is a document with a set of instructions for like-minded people on what kind of tweets to put out, what kind of hashtags to put out, and various social media tools to support a farmer's protest. So there's nothing illegal or criminal even about being on social media, about sharing information with each other, about supporting a protest. And, this background that has just been given to us about Disha, about her being, a world-renowned activist. She's part of Fridays for Future. What is Fridays for Future? A progressive climate change movement led by school students.
Yeah.
Thunberg is now 18, but she's been campaigning for against climate change and for the environment since she was 13 years old. She has been invited in the UN. She has spoken to President Trump directly. She's taken seriously. She's been nominated for the Nobel Prize. So that's the kind of international attention that Greta Thunberg has got. There are innumerable Indian school kids, college kids, young people, as well as older people who want to be part of campaigns that are for the climate, that who want to work. We've got such a huge pollution problem in this country. Now, when a movement like the farmers' movement gains so much, it becomes of such a size, and what has happened, we've seen it happen, right? The farmers, when they arrived in Delhi, we had no idea. Most of us had no idea what they were coming from, for, and why such a large they themselves. Everybody is feeling a sense of empathy for a group of people who ultimately are farmers who create the crops that empathy is every average citizen. Many people who were not activists before have joined this movement, have wanted to support them. That's exactly what is done. So to criminalize this act, to make an example of her in this way, that is the problem. The problem is not at all that she's 22-year-old. If she were 22-year-old, if she had committed a heinous crime, sure, like any other criminal, she would be tried in a court of law. But what is this attitude? I mean, that's what we are talking about.
Okay.
And the other example of this on the other spectrum would be Varavara Rao, the poet, who's 80 years old, who's got Parkinson's, who had COVID. So, the human rights activists, regular citizens all over the country are talking about, let us treat our own citizens with some compassion, with some empathy. And that's what they're saying now.
Age is not a factor either for protesting or activism, nor is it as far as crime is concerned. But in this case, for some reason, that became one of the first conversation points. Why is it, Geeta Bhatt, that to counter the outrage over this arrest, we saw so many then come back and say, oh, do you know what age Ajmal Kasab was when he carried out the terror attack? Is there a need to really push that kind of a narrative?
No, not at all. In fact, it is basically just to say that age per se has nothing to do with when, people decide to go ahead and get involved in any kind of a crime. It is not just Ajmal Kasab. Even Burhan Wani was 21-year-old when he was a gun-toting terrorist. And there were many such other young, terrorists who have been killed in encounters because they took to the arms. So it is basically what is important here is to also remember is that our constitution says that those who are above 18 are mature enough to decide that who is going to run the government in this country. So if they have that much of maturity, it is understood that they do understand the nuances and also the various laws by which this country is being run. And someone who was, it seems, pretty well educated, was a climate activist, was very much well aware of what she was getting into, especially the leaked chats between her and Greta Thunberg, where she has openly come across and actually said that why is it that this toolkit was put by her on the social media, because it had the footprints, their names, and she herself in that conversation is somewhere trying to say that we may get charged under UAPA because of the linkage. It is not just about the toolkit. You see, toolkit is something which political parties are using, PR campaign, advertising agencies are using for various purposes, kind of a resource material which is available at one particular given place, at some virtual space. But here the point is that there is the sequence of events which took place. The way it was defined in the toolkit, because the toolkit got released in the social media only once everything had happened, and how it had culminated on an action day of 26th of January. Now, whatever happened on 26th is actually what brings the various seriousness and the issue under which she is being, I suppose, questioned by the police, because the kind of Zoom meeting which took place where she was present, and a very well-known, Khalistani sympathizer, someone who's one of the founders of the Poetic Justice Foundation, Dhaliwal, he was there in the meeting. So much so, even the name of Peter Frederick, who the Indian government is on a lookout since 2005, and who has relations with pro-Khalistani leaders. This is something people are on lookout of Peter Frederick since the state, or since 2005-6.
Yeah, but that's something that the police just mentioned. That's something that the police just mentioned, and the Poetic Justice Foundation is not a banned organization so far.
Yes, of course. Yes, you are right. It is not a banned organization.
So where's the crime?
But the point is, you see, first of all, we have to understand that it is still sub judice, and the exact, what the police is going to come out with the charges, that we are going to see. But please do remember.
Yes, but you are saying this now when I'm counter-questioning you, Dr. Bhatt. So far, your answer made it sound that she is guilty and that she is responsible and her toolkit is responsible for the violence that took place. Now, when I'm asking you where's the crime, you're saying, oh, that's sub judice.
No, I'm coming to that. You see, there are, if you look under UAPA, in UAPA, there is under Schedule 4, it very clearly says that if there are any terror-related activities, they are also going to be considered, can be charged under it. Now, what exactly is going to come out? But there is a question mark on her involvement at present, right? Now, also please do remember that on 26th of January, what happened in Delhi is something which was very shameful about it. The way the desecration of national monument took place, the kind of violence that took place, is something that has brought whatever was there in the toolkit, because the toolkit very well mentioned. It also had misinformation which says hundreds of farmers have been injured and killed. There was a lot of misinformation. It talks about that whatever are the soft powers of India, like yoga, like chai, there should be a discrimination of these things. There at all the embassies, there should be protests which should take place, which meant was that there was a plan to basically put India in a bad light on an international forum, or internationally.
Okay, so
these are some things which have passed. And also, give me just 10 seconds. I want to just add, because someone mentioned Mr. Varavara Rao. I just want to tell that he has been arrested under serious charges since the time of Mrs. Indira Gandhi.
Yeah.
Please remember, a number of times he has been arrested, and his involvement with the Maoists has been, time and again it has been reported, and charges have been framed on him.
When during the time of Indira Gandhi and during emergency in our country, a 22-year-old Arun Jaitley was also arrested for protesting. A 23-odd-year-old Sitaram Yechuri was also arrested for protesting and put behind bars, and so was Ravi Shankar Prasad. But today, ministers are telling us that by the time they were 21, they were contributing to nation building. Views can change depending on which side of the fact you are, or depending on what crime it is and what is the allegation of the crime. Now, in this case, we are talking about a toolkit and the connect with the violence that now will have to be proven in court. Gunjan Singh, is age a factor whether it comes to activism or crime? Why was that picked up by everybody to say, oh, a 22-year-old activist has been put behind bars?
See, this question cannot be rubbished aside by saying that, just because she's a major, it does not make any difference. Now, I'll have to see a pattern out here, that why it is important to note the age. In the previous years, we have noticed a pattern where college students, university students who protest are being thrown out in the jail. You see, it started in JNU, it started in other universities, in Hyderabad Central Universities and other universities. So it is a factor, very important factor. Secondly,
as far as JNU is concerned, there has been enough evidence to show what was done on 9th February, right? And thereafter, the people, they have tried to disassociate themselves and
Okay, so Rahul, I'll come to you and then you can finish your point, but just let him finish, let Gunjan finish, and nothing has been proven yet. The trial has just about begun in the sedition case.
And see, what has Supreme Court time and again said, that you only arrest a person when it is necessary. Where was she fleeing away? Could not she have been interrogated by serving her a notice by asking her to join the investigation? Was that not important? But here it is important to note that this government, this police is after those university students who are protesting, and anybody who's protesting is anti-national. Now, according to their theory, JP would have been the terrorist number one as of today. He protested, he mobilized, and today you take pride in the fact that you belong to JP movement. Your senior leaders today take pride in the fact that they belong to JP movement. And now every student who joins any protest, who protests against any of the government policies, are anti-national. So it is important to note that who are being targeted. You have ministers, you have MLAs who make obnoxious slogans, Goli Maro Salo Ko, and all that. They're roaming free. Have you registered an FIR? No, not today. So we will have to see a pattern that the purpose is never to finish it as a trial. You know that these people will be totally innocent. They are innocent. They'll walk out of trial freely, but you only want to incarcerate them in jail. And we see a pattern.
Okay,
here.
okay.
Now, one point. I'll just finish one more point. That why it is so that in all the crimes there is an international link. In Bhima Koregaon, there is an international link. In farmers' protest, there is an international link. In UP, the rape of a Dalit girl, there is an international link. So all this thing, you just create a story that there is an international link and there is an attack on India. Now you don't want to listen to any of your, dissent in this country, and that is how you are after young.
All right. I know I have to go to Neeraj, who has to make his opening remarks, but very quick response from Rahul since he was trying to make a point in between. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. See, the point is very clear. Whatever protest he has been talking about, be it GNU or the protest in different campuses across the country. See, what happened on GNU, it was on 9th Feb, and when you try to associate yourself on the unfortunate dates, which are darkest date in the democracy of India, if you assemble and sing glories to the terrorists who were hanged for their offense, you come out in support of the terrorists who got killed in army operations. This definitely raised doubt to your intentions of being a genuine student movement. You cannot support terrorists. You cannot always come out supporting radical elements. That's what they have been doing. And as far as he's saying like everything is an international nexus, then definitely if the tweets from the celebrities, tweets from the people across the globe, and then a toolkit tweeted by the very enlightened activist doesn't make it an international conspiracy. I don't know what will it make an international conspiracy. So my friend, look at the broader picture, what has been happening, what these political elements under student movement trying to further their political agendas based on misinformation, fueling students' mind with misinformation, trying to mobilize them in the name of democracy, and then they come and celebrate the death. They mourn the death of the person who was involved in the attack on the parliament.
Okay. So all right. Point taken. You've made your point. Let me take it to Neeraj. Neeraj, there are two schools of thought here. एक ये कह रहे हैं कि the bigger picture is कि example after example, you see that the youngsters are being targeted. That was the pattern that we saw anti-CA protest ke time. That was the pattern with the crackdown on JNU as well, and several other universities of our country with activists. By the way, because we mentioned Disha Ravi and how famous she is and what she knows will get her into trouble. Remember, Friday for Future was actually booked under UAPA when they were campaigning against the EIA draft. Now, after instant outrage, the Delhi police took back that charge. They dropped the UAPA charge, which was the anti-terror law, and said, well, that was a mistake. But that did happen. So it's not to say that these activists don't know, what kind of trouble, but that doesn't mean that they know it's a crime. That's a different thing. लेकिन नीरज, सवाल ये है कि ये students को target कर रहे हैं या ये genuinely, if these are anti-national activities, then action has to be taken irrespective of your age.
And Tanvi, Supreme Court that there is nothing sedition for the toolkit. A retired Supreme Court Judge, Justice Deepak Gupta, today itself, had said there's nothing seditious in the toolkit. He had gone through the content of that. There's nothing seditious. So I know my friend who's a law graduate would at least believe in what a retired Supreme Court judge says.
Okay. Yes, Neeraj.
हाँ, मैं अपनी बात को इस तरीके से रखूंगा। सबसे पहले तो मैं आपको एक रिपोर्ट शेयर करना चाहूंगा। 2015 से 2019 तक 191 सेडिशन केसेस जो हैं वो अभी तक सरकार के द्वारा जो है वो फाइल किए गए, जिसमें आउट ऑफ सिर्फ 4 केसेस जो है वो कन्विक्टेड पाए गए हैं। सो सबसे पहले तो ये एक फैक्ट जो है वो हमें अपने पास रखना चाहिए और इसमें कोई दो राय नहीं है कि स्टूडेंट्स भी वो वाले स्टूडेंट जो इस सरकार के खिलाफ बोलते हैं, सिर्फ वही जो है वो सेडिशन के अंदर आते हैं। अगर मैं आपको इसी चीज को इसके साथ रिलेट करूं, कपिल मिश्रा, अनुराग ठाकुर जिन्होंने ओपनली बोला था गोली मारो सालों को, अगर आप अभी अर्नब गोस्वामी की जो चैट है वो पार्थोदास गुप्ता और अर्नब गोस्वामी की जो चैट है वो अगर आप देखें तो इनमें से कहीं पर भी आप जो है सेडिशन को नहीं पाएंगे, क्योंकि जस्ट बिकॉज दे आर विद गवर्नमेंट, और जो भी गवर्नमेंट के खिलाफ आएगा उस पे एक बड़ा आसान सा आज की डेट में है ये सेडिशन। और ये मुझे बड़ा ये आश्चर्य भी होता है कि ये हम सब इस देश के जितने भी यूथ हैं, जितने भी स्टूडेंट्स हैं, ये एंटी नेशनलिस्ट ये जब से भाजपा की गवर्नमेंट आई तब से ही क्यों हो गए? इससे पहले तो हम सभी नेशनलिस्ट थे। तो ये मेरी से बाहर है कि अभी तक इस सरकार ने कपिल मिश्रा, अनुराग ठाकुर जिन्होंने ओपनली बोला गोली मारो सालों को, वो अभी तक उनपे कोई सेडिशन का केस जो है वो नहीं हुआ। पार्थोदास गुप्ता की और अर्नब गोस्वामी की सिक्योरिटी एजेंसी की इतनी टॉप सीक्रेट जो इंफॉर्मेशन है वो उनकी चैट में मिलती है, वो लीक होती है, उन पे कोई का केस नहीं बनता है। लेकिन जस्ट बिकॉज कि वो लड़की जो है वो एक फार्मर्स को सपोर्ट कर रही थी, और फार्मर जो है वो इस देश के 3 कानूनों के खिलाफ, सरकार के खिलाफ बात कर रहे थे। तो ये मुझे लगता है कि एक बहुत बड़ा जो क्वेश्चन है, इसमें कोई राय नहीं है कि कहीं पर भी कोई भी स्टूडेंट हो, कोई भी यूथ हो जो इस सरकार के खिलाफ बात करता है और वो होता है। और एक चीज में और जो मेरी नॉलेज में है, सभी टूल किट के बारे में सबने बात करी हमारे बीच में, बट मैम ने भी टूल किट के बारे में बात करी, और इसमें कोई दो राय नहीं कि टूल किट जो है वो सभी यूज करते हैं, सभी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी यूज करते हैं, एंड यूजिंग टूल किट इज नॉट ए एंटी नेशनल थिंग। बट मैं एक और चीज अपनी नॉलेज में बताना चाहता हूँ कि मैडम 26 जनवरी के इंसिडेंट को रिकॉल कर रही थी, बट जो टूल किट यूज किया गया है दैट इज यूज ऑन 4th of February, 4th of February, not before 26th of January.
No, so it came out in the public on 4th of February. There were 2 versions, an old one and the new one. The old one seemingly more problematic for many people than the new one. लेकिन अगर आप FIR देखिए और FIR की full details आज जो release हुई हैं, उसमें there is a very detailed description of the build-up that happened before 26 January's rally and the violence and reference of banned pro-Khalistani groups like Sikhs for Justice that have been mentioned. And then there is a second part that actually talks about this toolkit, what this toolkit asks you to do, which is essentially create buzz, essentially use hashtags, tag people, spread awareness. It gives out a few links. It also calls for action in terms of protests outside embassies or wherever you are to get together people, protest together. Now, the challenge will be in the court to prove that the two are connected, that this is the cause and this is the effect for you to say that there was an intent of sedition. And there also, Gunjan, Natasha, I know you want to make a point, but give me just one more minute. There also, Gunjan, even if one says this led to that, there will have to be an intent that has to be shown of sedition, isn't it?
Not only intent, but an overt action.
Yeah.
Even in past, courts have let people free when they have raised very problematic slogans. You see, there was this case of Balwant Singh where they said Khalistan Zindabad. In Bilal Ahmed Kalu's case, where he raised certain statements, made certain statements against Indian Army, court said, no, this will not apply. Sedition won't apply. Now the test for application of sedition, now it is a free country. You cannot say that anything which is said against the government is against the India. Government is not equal to the country, right? So it has to be an overt action. If I say, and look at the contents of the toolkit, you go and protest in front of Indian embassy, you go and click a picture, you make a video. Now, every now and then in different countries, people protest in front of embassies. That is not a crime.
May I come in, please?
That protest is voluntary nature. There is some sort of a violence in that, there is, appeal for violence. Then there's a problematic thing. Democratic setup, you have every right to protest in a peaceful manner. Now, coming back to the 26th event, now police gave permission. Now, police failed in its duty. Now, police knew well in advance that this rally was going to be conducted. So, shouldn't this question be asked to police that what were you doing? How did it happen? It's dereliction of duty. Rather than asking people that who were tweeting in support of farmers, and now today, farmers who have been protesting for so long, suddenly they turn in one day Khalistani. then terrorist, then suddenly some new term will be coined. These are all a modus operandi to discredit people who are genuinely asking that please listen to our demand. This is not fair. This is in a very democratic country. These are the beauty of a democratic setup.
So, in fact, let me add to that, Gunjan. See, these allegations that are made, and I don't think we need to, I'm not going to sit here and say, well, there may not be any attempt from any foreign entity to try and appropriate it, get involved, discredit it, and whatever. It happens all the time. But that's not your focus. If some pro-Khalisani group, some NRI group sitting in UK and Canada wants to make noise about it, that's not your focus. Your focus still needs to be the farmers of your country, the farmers who are sitting outside your national capital, our national capital, and are protesting. Now, these can just be ways to distract yourself. You can investigate, and if you find something that the others outside our country did, all right. You should not use that to discredit what is inherently started off as a farmers' movement in our country. Natasha wanted to make a point. Go ahead, please. Yes.
There is a deliberate attempt to change the discourse.
Absolutely.
Now you suddenly change the discourse from farmers to some UAPA, sedition, all that crime. This is a deliberate.
Yeah, Natasha.
Absolutely. It's, I was listening to the professor, and the way in which narratives are muddied, you bring in anything. So if one is talking about the allegations against Varavara Rao in the case that is going on today, which has not even been started, when in a pandemic year the man fell ill and there were so many attempts to get bail for him, and yet there was no humanitarian response from the government. That's the point being made. You bring in the fact that he has been jailed for other cases many times before. There is no connection between any of these things. Similarly, there is no connection between this social media toolkit and what happened in the Red Fort. I mean, you've got other news coming in from, mainstream media about Deep Sidhu being arrested because he actually laid claim to the fact that he led the crowds to the Red Fort. Why? Where is the mainstream debate about that? Is there any connection between the people who actually desecrated the fort by putting a flag there and Disha Ravi? There is no connection. But we keep we keep fogging up the debates by doing this kind of thing. What the lawyer is saying on this program is exactly what needs to be outlined again and again. That anybody who speaks against the government, irrespective of their age, irrespective of their background, and particularly if they are young, particularly if they are Muslims, particularly if they have been activists who command a lot of respect, they will be targeted. And we as citizens, as civil society, we really need to speak up for the democracy that we have been born in, that we have voted for. It is our responsibility to constantly participate in debates like this and try to clear the air about what things are, how things are being conducted. The most important question in the Disha Ravi case is why has she been arrested when she could have been interrogated for her role in whatever the government suspects her of having done. Take female policemen, go to her house, tell her you're coming, sit down, ask her questions, let her give you answers. I mean, straight away, without any procedure being followed, for her to have been arrested in Bangalore by Delhi police and then remanded for 5 days on a Sunday. I mean, we have senior lawyers and senior legal experts constantly commenting on how all processes were abandoned.
Yeah.
So punishing people by process, that's what we are doing repeatedly. And we have to protest against that.
Geeta Bhatt.
Yeah, Tanvi, first of all, when this activist was, her remand was sought, she was produced before a in a judicial court, and the judicial magistrate is someone who gave the consent for her custody. So I'm sure that there must have been some evidence which would have been produced in front of the magistrate, because of which the police was allowed her custody for 5 days. Now, is it that we are casting aspersion? Are we casting aspersion on the decision that has been taken by the judicial magistrate by saying so? Now, whatever are the charges, that once it will come, it will take some time to come forth, but that is what prima facie one can understand. Now, secondly, you see, there are many countries in which dissemination of propaganda, as well as efforts which are made towards intentionally affecting people's opinion, is also considered as a crime, which is also, it is all these things are considered crime even in Sweden, you know, where Greta Thunberg belongs to. So it is also very
Yeah,
important to understand. And I was just remembering, you know, because there is a young guy from NSUI who was also there. I just remembered that, you know, in 2012 when P. Chidambaram was the union minister, finance minister, an industrialist in Puducherry was arrested because he had tweeted questioning the amassing of wealth of Kartik Chidambaram.
Yes.
And just on one tweet, he was, you know, he was arrested. So this also happened in this country. So, and nevertheless, the point is that, you see, criticism is very much a part of any democracy, and it is not that it is the policy of the government. If it is being criticized, then there could be any kind of it can be considered a criminal offense. No, not at all. This is the strength. Dissent, in a way, is the strength of democracy. But at the same time, if it transgresses into spreading of misinformation, spreading of fake news, causing disharmony, and resulting into violence, is something that then there is something where the police or the state will try to look into it and see why this thing is happening.
Okay.
And that is what has happened over here.
Okay, I want to go back to the two representatives from ABVP and NSUI, and to the point that was raised earlier by Neeraj first about the sedition cases. And if you see, in 2014, 47 sedition cases were filed in our country. By 2018, the number had gone up to 70. In 2019, there were 93. Now, the cases have only gone up. There are some numbers of 2020, but that's not the NCRB data, so I don't want to refer to it in case we get a couple of cases wrong. But if you see the conviction rate, it's just gone down and down further, up to 3% 2 years ago. That was the conviction rate in sedition cases. And if you look at the examples, and it's not just about the JNU sedition case, which, by the way, is finally going to trial now, or the sedition cases which were filed against Sharjeel Ahmed and several others during the CA time, but so many other instances. And I want to point out, there were students who were booked under sedition because they were supporting Pakistan in a cricket match, so a case was filed. There was another instance where children were booked on sedition charges because they were dancing on an allegedly seditious song, and then this video went viral and became a problem. So the question I'm asking you, Rahul, and then to Neeraj is there a sense that more and more of such seditious anti-terror type cases are being targeted at the youngsters of our country?
Yes. See, ma'am, the point is how the act took place. See, even AVP has been part of many movements which were against the government, be it the JNU FIAC issue or be it a policy aspect. And across the country where there has been BJP government or Congress government, AVP has been very vocal on the aspect where we feel that there is a change needs to be brought through protest, right, or through voicing students' opinion. But we have never been charged for such cases because our pattern has not been to, create or incite hatred among students or to create disharmony or to raise them to take up against the state. That has not been our method. See, it's ultimately how you take out the movement, what your ultimate goals are. That's what decide the culpability. And as far as the registration of cases is concerned, it's based on the FIR by an individual. Right? Even in the present case, it's only the investigation which is going on. She has not been convicted by the court of the law. Her custody has been granted for fair investigation. And as far as the right of individual is concerned, also agencies have right to conduct free and fair investigation, whereby everybody is making statement, claiming that she is innocent. If she is innocent, she'll come out clean. Like you have said, the conviction rate has been very low. So initially, the case is registered based on the first information report received and the charges and the evidences used to support their FIR or the charge sheet that is made. And in the time the investigation is carried out, the truth comes out. Right?
Okay.
So even so, as far as the labeling of charges, it's not been from the unicide towards dedicatedly from the government to the students who protest. There are various student organizations who are protesting on numerous issues across the country, and the method that these radical organizations use, these radical elements, what they use, the support they garner for their protest, and they try to, create this belief even in the judiciary. Even in the present case, the remand has been given through a magistrate at
no, but Rahul, I know you say, I know you're saying that, you also protest, you just do it for the right causes and you use the right methods. But the other side could turn around and say, well, it's also because you're linked to a party which is in power, not just at center, but many of the states in our country. And then we can ask the question about what happened in the violence case that unfolded in JNU. How many of your guys got prosecuted versus the other side?
Let me come very clear on the JNU issue. There has not been a single evidence, even given by left activists who are blaming ABP for the protest against any of our Karyakartas who was directly involved, directly or indirectly, whatever role they have played. They were spreading screenshots of WhatsApp. Why are they not giving evidences to the police? Whereas the evidences which we have here, the crowd mobilization that was clearly done by the students from the left wing. How come those masked goons were with them for the last 3-4 days? And
okay,
ABP,
so let me get
like I said in those days, we came out with press note even on 4th of January that what left has done to ABP Karyakartas. Even on 5th of January, we were the first to report it to the media that left has attacked.
So let me get Neeraj to respond.
And the same was reported by the media houses by 6 p.m.
So Neeraj, the response, the comment from ABVP side is it's not about the age, it's not about whether you're young or old, it's how you do your activism, which is why the other side gets into more trouble.
देखिए अभी हमारे सामने बिल्कुल क्लियर है कि कोई भी इस देश में मतलब आप भूल जाइए कि वो स्टूडेंट है, वो यूथ है, ही इज अ सीनियर सिटीजन, वो कोई भी है, लेकिन जो भी सरकार के खिलाफ बोलेगा उसके ऊपर सिटीजन का जो है
में पिटाई हो रही है। महाराष्ट्र में आर्मी मैन को मारा गया आपकी सरकार के, जो आपकी पार्टी के सरकार के समर्थन में वहां पे लोग थे। उन्हीं लोगों ने लॉकडाउन के समय कितनी लोगों पे अत्याचार हुए वो सब आपको भी पता है।
अनुराग ठाकुर जो बीजेपी के हैं, जिन्होंने ओपनली जो लैंग्वेज यूज करी और एक ही रात में किस तरीके से कोर्ट के जजेस के भी जो ट्रांसफर हुए वो भी हम लोगों ने सामने देखा कि किस तरीके से उनके ऊपर कोई भी सेडिशन का केस जो है वो नहीं लगेगा जस्ट बिकॉज दे आर लिंक्ड टू द बीजेपी पार्टी। और मैं एक चीज और पॉइंट आउट करना चाहूंगा, भी कोई एक हमारा पैनलिस्ट बोल रहा था कि बिल्कुल सही बात है कि दिशा के साथ ये लिंक करना कि वो पहले इस तरीके से जेल में गई है, वो पहले गई है, ये बिल्कुल मुझे लगता है कि ठीक बात नहीं है। अगर आप इस तरीके से लिंक करेंगे तो फिर आप अपने हमारे देश के जो होम मिनिस्टर हैं वो पहले जेल में गए हैं, उनके ऊपर क्या क्या केसेस रहे हैं, मुझे लगता है ये बिल्कुल सही बात नहीं है। और इस सरकार को, प्रेजेंट जो हमारी सरकार है, उनको ये सोचना चाहिए कि हम सब किसी न किसी के माँ के और बच्चे हैं, हम इस देश के आने वाले के भविष्य हैं। अगर हम इस सरकार के खिलाफ बोल रहे हैं तो ये कहीं पर भी देशद्रोही या सेडिशन की ये जो जिस तरीके से मैंने आपको स्टार्टिंग में भी आपको बात करी कि ये एक ट्रेंड सा हो गया, कल्चर सा हो गया कि ऐसा लगता है कि जब से बीजेपी की सरकार इस देश में आई वो अपने साथ एंटी नेशनलिस्ट को जो है वो साथ में लेकर आ गई है। ये बिल्कुल गलत है। इस तरीके से यूथ्स को और स्टूडेंट की वॉइस को जो है ये दबाना जो है वो ठीक नहीं है। और इसमें सेडिशन और ये जो यूएपी जैसे कानून लेके आए हैं इसका मिसयूज नहीं करना चाहिए।
पर वो किसी के लिए भी मिसयूज के अगेंस्ट मिसयूज नहीं होने चाहिए। whether you are 22 years old or 72 years old, it shouldn't matter in the country. Abuse of law is a big problem, irrespective of a series of judgments and comments that have been made by the higher courts of our country. Gunjan was actually giving you an example where the court said, well, even if you're sloganeering at a place where violence unfolds, it doesn't necessarily mean that you've indulged in a seditious activity. Today itself, and let me read it out to our viewers. In another case linked to the farmers' protest, when a hearing was going on in the Patiala House Court about bail to two of the accused who had allegedly posted some controversial, sensational posts on Facebook, the court observed in its order that the law of sedition is a powerful tool in the hands of the state to maintain peace and order in the society. However, it cannot be invoked to quieten the disquiet under the pretext of muzzling the miscreants. That's an observation that has been made by the court today. And so repeatedly you see the courts, speak up, give certain observations, issue certain orders. But when it comes to the policing action, you see just more and more cases getting filed. Completely out of time. Thank you so much to all of our panelists for joining us. Because here is what I think it is. It doesn't matter what your age is. But what matters is what is it that you have done or you are being accused of. The outrage in this specific case or the controversy and the debate in this specific case must be on whether or not it was right for the police to arrest her for sedition. Or could they have gone on with their investigation by simply questioning her, understanding her role, and if she has any links to the pro-Khalisani groups, if she know that she was getting into a conspiracy. The controversy in the debate lies there on the use of the laws and the procedures that were followed. Not because she is 22 or 72. It doesn't matter. So all of those who are trying to distract you by saying, oh, by 21 I was a lawyer, by 21 I was an engineer, by 21 I was already contributing in a much bigger way. And this girl doesn't know what she is doing in life. That's not really the debate. Let's not get distracted. Thank you so much for joining us.